was co-founded along with Dr. Tamara L. Good, who's also the mother of my 6-year-old son, Brendan Kimble. And we founded it about 6 years ago, and it was actually inspired by a gentleman by the name of Robert Carter, who actually died in a game that I was playing in. And when he died, I didn't really know him well. I played against him for maybe 2 or 3 years, knew his face very well. But when I realized that I was one of 3 people fanning him with a towel, but that's not what he needed. He needed He needed CPR administered or an AED. That was very upsetting to me. You know, one time to experience sudden cardiac arrest with Hank Gathers, I mean, that's one thing, but there were doctors there. But I just felt that it was no longer acceptable for Bo Kimble not to know first aid, no CPR, so I became a CPR instructor, and I co-founded the foundation. We've been blessed to save 10 lives by providing children with echocardiogram and electrocardiogram screening. We have collaborated with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and we're also working to collaborate with Team Hill and Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Beverly Hills to provide children 5 to 18 with those tests, and that's how we identify those 10 kids. That's how we save their lives. Also, one of our key missions is to put defibrillators in all public places, supermarkets, banks, fast food places, everywhere where there's a large gathering of people, and we look forward to by 2020 having defibrillators everywhere.
Okay.
We have so our goal is to just awareness is also. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes, awareness is also equally important, because what we found out is that people who even there's been numerous reports of people who have CPR training having a defibrillator there, and because of awareness, they won't use it because they think it's for someone else.
Oh, wow.
Or they think it's, they don't know, they just don't have the awareness side of when to use it, how to use it. And many cases, people are dealing with the victim and not even going to get the defibrillator first. Call 911 is the first thing you do, and then if you have an AED, do it. If you have a CPR, if you know CPR trained, and administer it almost right away.
So it's like
if someone is unresponsive.
It's like a lot of people.
So all of these key things is what I'm very, very passionate about. If you say one life is worth it, we say 10.
Okay.
And everybody thinks that it was inspired by Hank Gathers. It's just, that's a key part of it, because obviously they were professional, there were doctors and trainers there the night of Hank died, and I wasn't a CPR instructor, so there was nothing I could do then. But going forward, I'm ready to use my CPR instructor training to save a life.
Definitely. Growing up in Philadelphia with the Sixers winning the championship in '83, then being in Los Angeles at the peak of Showtime with the Lakers and everything, and being out there when they won a championship, what type of effect did that have on you? What type of effect did that have on Hank, being so close, you know, essentially, especially in LA, you all were sharing the headlines with them at the same time of their success, you all were having your success, and how did that inspire you? Because I'm sure you attended games in Philly at the Spectrum and in LA at the Forum. Like, how did that motivate you and affect you, just being so close to the action? And I know you all play with those guys and stuff in the summer. How did that impact your career? And
yes, it impacted our career in an extraordinary way. Even growing up in Philadelphia, Hank Gathers and myself, we loved the Sixers. Being a Sixer fan, growing up in Philadelphia and having Dr. J, Julius Erving as your role model, I mean, it was huge for us. Then to go out to Los Angeles, let me just say this, Hank and I were, particularly Hank, was overly inspired to make it out of the projects in North Philadelphia, Raymond Road projects, which is the toughest projects in Philadelphia at the time. He was very determined to make it to the NBA, to create a better life for his family, to get his education and graduate on time, and he would have done that. So we were inspired by all of those elements. And then you come to Los Angeles, and you got the Lakers practicing at Loyola Marymount, every day.
Yeah.
So when we come out of class at noon, we see the Rolls Royces, the Mercedes. Sometimes we see limos.
Yeah.
And we know the Lakers are in town. And then on top of that, all the visiting teams that flew into LA to play the Clippers and the Lakers, they also practiced at Loyola Marymount in the morning.
Yeah.
So we were accustomed to seeing Dr. J and seeing Jordan and seeing all of these guys, because we would walk in the gym after our class and just have short conversations with them. So that was really an amazing thing. And obviously, if you're playing against pro players like the Lakers in the summer and you're holding your own, and in my case, both of our cases, we were holding our own with ease.
Yeah.
Against all of the Lakers, and this is during the time when they were winning 3 of their 5 NBA championships.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff being in LA, and for me, it was I wasn't 100% inspired by money, but I have to admit I was inspired by knowing that, hey, all the hard work that I'm putting in, I knew that I was an unstoppable player. I knew I worked hard. I knew I had the talent to go to the NBA, and I know Hank felt he had the talent as well to go to the NBA. To visually see these super expensive cars, it was also inspiring as well, at least for me, and I'm sure it has to be inspiring, encouraging for Hank that, hey, we're going to work hard, we're going to make it to the NBA, and we'll be able to live this lifestyle. So is it worth it? Absolutely. So all of those things together really just, and just coming from Philadelphia in general, just the way that we grew up, it's the best sparring, it's the best quality of basketball you could ever have. And for me, I grew up playing against older guys all the time, guys that were 10, 15 years older than me.
Yes,
they were faster, bigger, better on every level. And by 14, I was holding my own against them, and they couldn't stop me. So once I got to college, at least for me mentally and physically, I just did not have much respect for anybody that was in my age group, because I knew that that I was always able to hold my own against anybody. So I never gave that power. I knew I was unstoppable mentally on the court, and I never gave that power back even to this day.
Yeah, because it's when you're playing against older guys. 14. Yeah, you play against older guys. It's like if you're doing good against them, somebody your age is like, I know you can't stop me, and that.
Right.
As a player, you're like, I played against guys 10 years older than me, so what you're doing is nothing, essentially.
Yes, and I've never seen anyone work at, there's 3 people that I've played with and against that I could say are the most extraordinary people that I ever played with. And matter of fact, it's the 3 of the hardest workers I've ever seen. One was Patrick Ewing.
Okay.
One of the Knicks, he was my teammate, and he was injured most of the year, and he should not have been in practice. He's hobbling up in practice, and he wouldn't sit out a drill until we made him. But he wouldn't make. We weren't allowed to make him sit often. He played anyway. He played through it. So I admired that. Of course, Hank Gathers, just the most relentless guy you could ever imagine. He just was so determined. He hated to lose. He just wore his emotion on the court. He just became just obsessed with winning and working hard. And so I admired his work ethic. And then Tom Peabody on the Human Blues on our LMU team.
Yeah.
Just in practice, this guy is like when everyone else sees the bleachers and the table, the scoring table, he doesn't see any of that. And he goes 1,000 miles an hour to the line and past the line, where everyone else is like, hey, we do see the chairs. We do, we're not going to jump third row. But he did that in practice. So those are the 3 most extraordinary players that I play with that I just have the greatest level of respect for.
Okay, and that right there leads me into another question I have for you. You came into the league era with Michael, Magic, Bird, Barkley, etc., like some of the greatest players ever to play, and you played against them. What was the one characteristic that you found in each of those players when you played against them that you knew that this all these players do this one thing, or they have this mentality or certain thing that, these are all the guys, and then you had been playing with some of them, but what is the one common characteristic all those players had from that era?
I would just say work ethic and mental toughness. Mental toughness and under the mental toughness part of it is you win the game before the game even starts.
Yeah.
And being able to watch Magic Johnson, Magic Johnson. Well, Dr. J is always number one. Just growing up in Philly, but him and Michael would be, him, Michael, and Magic are. But particularly as far as the question that you asked, it would be Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. Their mentality, their determination, their skill level, you can just tell that they. I respected that because I live with the ball and I practice every day, hours and hours and hours. And to see them be able to do it, and I didn't get the chance to do it in the NBA, but they did, and what they've done was extraordinary. Michael, you couldn't stop him mentally, you couldn't stop him, physically, but his determination and his mental toughness was second to none, and the same with Magic Johnson.
Okay.
And being able to watch Magic as a point guard, you know what the defense is doing before they do it, and just being a coach on the court. And, one time I was playing against Magic in the summer.
Yeah.
And so because we were playing so much in the summer, I'm just thinking, hey, I was like, Coach, let me go in Magic. I'm taller, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
Let me just try to harass him, throw him off his beat. It was like Magic put that left stiff arm out, and he's literally ignoring me, looking over me like I'm not even there. And I mean, I'm literally leaning on him. I'm getting up into him, and it was almost like he was, flying a fly with a fly swipe. I mean, it was like I made no impact. It just, with my greatest effort, he's like, it didn't affect him not 1%.
Yeah.
So it was just hilarious that, I thought that I could make a difference, but it meant nothing.
Yeah, because, like Magic, first ever NBA game I went to, I saw the Lakers play, I saw Magic play, and, that was it for me. And I think the thing is, like, a lot of people, they get so caught up in what's going on today with these players and all this hype. I'm like, this guy was a 6'9" point guard, not a 5'11", not 6'1", but a 6'9" point guard that saw.
Oh, right.
It's like that's, you think about your favorite player that's 6'9" and actually playing like a point guard, and handling the ball the same way somebody 5'11" would, as opposed to being 6'9". I mean, that's hard to stop. And then he had inside, outside, everything.
But with that brand of basketball, and there's no disrespect to the younger generation now, the younger generation is the Larry Bird, Dr. J era, Magic, Isaiah Thomas, Rolando Blackman, Patrick Ewing. That whole era is they play with a love for the game that's quite different.
Yeah.
Than now. It's just a whole their dedication to the game. I don't think that the younger players today have the same dedication. There are some that do have it. I'm not saying that they don't, but compared to that time, you would never have Magic Johnson want to be traded to the Boston Celtics, or vice versa. You would never have Larry Bird want to be a Laker, not on God's green earth, to win a championship. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it's buddy.
And you don't see, and back then you would see shooting guards. The shooting percentage would be more like 45, closer to 50%. Now it's down to the 30.
Yeah.
Guys are shooting 39% from the three and all of that. So, I just think it's a whole different. I just think it was a precious time during that time. I just had great respect for that era versus the era now. But there's a lot of extraordinary players now.
Yeah,
too.
I think. Yeah, because it's like today's players, the fundamentals are lacking. I mean, back then, you knew every player pretty much just on every team, 1 through 12. You knew what you was going to get from that guy, and it really wasn't a drop-off when whoever came in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to have a complete game, whether you were a guard or a big man. You had to be able to shoot, had to be able to pass, had to be able to rebound. And now it's like you getting money. They get the way they giving out money now for people to have holes in their game. It's like, where's the value in it? It's almost looking like AAU ball in the NBA now. Everybody want to play with each other. Everybody wants to, essentially get together rather than compete against the best. You all want to team up, and that's something that's foreign to me.
Yeah. I mean, that is that AAU culture and the drop off and the skill set, dedication, and all that. I mean, that is true. But the money in the game is only because of the TV revenue.
Yeah.
And the way that the collective and bargaining agreement is with the percentages. So, technically speaking, the players are just taking advantage of what the market is, and the same as the coaches. So it's, with the TV revenue and merchandising, I mean, the sky's the limit with the league. But it's the best league, I think, in the world.
Oh, definitely. What was your welcome to the NBA moment?
What was my welcome to the NBA moment?
Yeah.
Well, it would be being drafted. I worked very hard, and it's two things that stand out. Welcome to the NBA moment would definitely be, when I'm in the NBA draft and they call you at the 8th pick, and being the number one scorer in the entire NBA draft in the world, and knowing that last year you wasn't even in the Street and Smith magazine as one of the top 500 players to be projected to go to the NBA. Now, it was because I missed 18 games my junior year, but it didn't matter. My name wasn't on the list.
Right.
And I just thought, and I looked at that list, and I looked and I said, who can I say is better than me? And I couldn't check anybody's name off. And the person who was on the cover was Hank Davis.
Yeah.
So when I think of everybody in the draft and the fact that I was able to, before the season, have that opinion that I was the best, to be the highest scorer and feel that I was the best player that year, and then be called the 8th pick in the draft was incredible. And then obviously signing the NBA contract, knowing that my family, will be financially secure for life was something that's very important to me. So those are the two things that are welcome, to welcome to the NBA moment.
Okay. Now you and Hank, you all, while you were playing, he led the nation in scoring and rebounding. You led the nation in scoring your senior year. Was there ever a point in time that you all reflected on your achievements collectively in regards to your place in college basketball, like then and historically, or was it just one of the things that you just hooping and you doing good, putting up stats, but not really just getting caught up in everything? I'm sure it was a lot of press and everything about things you all were doing, not just you two individually, but as a team. I mean, the numbers you all put up as a team, and that still haven't been surpassed this day. Did you all have any collective insight as to what you were doing historically, or you were just, like I said, just balling, just hooping?
Well, we were definitely balling. We were oblivious to the historic impact it was going to be. We were very aware that we, had we had the best coach in Paul Westhead, an NBA style coach in college, which is extraordinary. He had already won a championship with the Lakers. We knew we were the highest scoring team in college basketball 3 years, so we didn't have to fear any team, no matter who they were. We really didn't care. And being the highest scoring team in college basketball, you have to score 126 to beat us, because we averaged 125. So we were just balling. And to look back, on that. Now Hank had a unique experience that I was proud to witness. When he led the nation in scoring and rebounding, he understood the historic nature of it, because everybody couldn't stop talking about it. He was on the cover of every sports magazine. I mean, and I remember seeing it was like, just imagine all your life, you notice the teammates that you know since high school, and just imagine you everybody else is a 100 watt light bulb, and Hank Gavin's walking the room, and he's a 675 watt white light bulb.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, and it was a little uncomfortable seeing it, not of jealousy or anything like that. I was very happy and proud of him. but it was almost like he just had a glow that was just like he's on top of the world, and he should have been.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the second person in the history of college basketball. The nation is scoring. Everybody's talking about, are you going pro early? He's going pro. He's going pro. He's going pro. I mean, it was crazy being in LA. So even though I was proud of him, it was a little awkward because watching him was like it's almost like in a positive way, not in a condescending way. His glow was so bright, it just blinded the room.
Yeah.
Because I knew him differently than everyone else knew him.
Yeah.
And so, but it was a unique thing to see it and witness it, and I was very happy for him. Which inspired me. I never cared about winning. I never cared about being the leading scorer in the country until Hank Gathers did.
Yeah.
I had two objectives: graduate on time, which I did, and we both would have graduated and having a broadcasting degree in communication, bachelor's degree in communication. But making it to the NBA and graduating was my priority and my goal. Well, when Hank led the nation to scoring and rebounding, I put that on my bucket list, and that was an important thing. Now, Hank Evans and I, in my opinion, we really learned we were incredible together. I mean, we're incredible individually, but we learned how to play and be greater together. So we're great individually, but greater together. And that both of that came true when Hank, when I missed 18 games my junior year, he led the nation scoring and rebound, second player in history. And then when he started having heart complications and he was out for a month, about 3 weeks, I scored 50 points in a row 5 times, over 50 points in a row, 5 games in a row, and led the nation in scoring, which is a 70-year record, by the way. And being shocked that I still hold the NCAA playoff scoring average, 39 a game. So, we didn't know anything about being part of history, but we knew we had a special team. We knew we were special. We just had a great. All the stars lined it up together.
Yeah.
When it came to our senior year, with an exception of the tragedy at Hank.
Okay.
Death.
The movie Final Shot. How was it seeing your life portrayed on film? How was that? Because that's one of my favorite movies. Like, I still have the VHS, and then I was fortunate enough to get the DVD a few years back. And, I love it. My mom, dad, sisters, everybody loved that movie. And what was it like seeing your life portrayed on film and whole storyline of everything with you and Hank?
Yeah, it was just, I just felt proud to be, that Hank gathered that people in the, in the film world, thought enough of my buddy to portray him in a movie. I thought it was a great movie in an effort to depict Hank. They could do no wrong because I was greatly biased because, you're talking about, Hank, and you're reflecting all the, positive things about Hank. And so I felt just proud to be associated with it, proud that they thought enough of Hank and that he was respected enough that they're doing a movie on his life. That's pretty awesome, So the one problem most people had, and I didn't have a problem with it, but they did not like the character who betrayed me, Dwayne. But I tried to explain to people. They had a big problem with that, but I said it wasn't about me. It's a Hank movie, and it's really all about Hank. So I couldn't join into that criticism. I just thought that this is doing a movie about Hank Evans is super positive, and we're going to keep it that way.
Right.
So it's not about Bo; it's about Hank. But it was a great movie, and it was entertaining, and it depicted what Hank was thinking about.
What was your favorite scene?
And the people he loved.
What was your favorite scene?
I actually really don't have a favorite scene. I just love the whole movie in general. I think Nell Carter did a great job depicting Hank.
Yeah, she did. Father Dave was
Hank's mom. And I also, I think Victor Love did an awesome job portraying Hank.
Yes.
And showing the passion and the love of the game and his commitment to the game to make it out of North Philly. So, Victor Love did an amazing job, and Mel Carter did a great job picking Hank's mom, Lucille Garvis.
Okay. It's been 25 years. This past March made it since the passing of Hank. Could you talk about how, even though time has passed, his legacy and impact, how impactful it still is today, and how it's probably even increased more as time has passed, with people knowing his story and you continuing to share his story and others sharing it, and then with the 44 for Life Foundation. Could you talk about that?
Yes, well, I'm very proud to be associated with Hank and the legacy of how the sports world honor him and remember him. Each year they celebrate Hank's, the life of Hank Adams every year on ESPN and all the networks, and print and on TV and radio. It's extraordinary to not only honor him but honor our historic team and to honor everything that's associated with Loyola Marymount and Hank Adams. We had a hell of a following when Hank was alive, but the world tuned in when Hank died. And for all of us to be part of history of that historic year, while Hank was alive, the way we played when Hank died, the legacy that Hank left behind, and it's a kind of eerie feeling because I get a front row seat for the 25 years on how the sports world will honor me. And it's really eerie to be thinking that way, but that we'll be forever linked together. And one gentleman asked me, "Hey, Bo, how does it feel to not have your own identity to always be associated with Hank?" I said, well, number one, I do have my own identity. I was leading the nation in scoring, and I was born to the NBA regardless of what was going on, that year.
Yeah.
However, to be affiliated with someone that I have enormous respect for, if my identity is forever linked with Hank, and some people think it's a Hank identity versus Bo identity solely, that's fine with me. Because when we were playing, it was always a Hank and Bo show. And when he died, people were reminiscing on the Bo and Hank show. And believe me, it was a Bo and Hank show. But it was really a Loyola Marymount run the system show.
Yeah.
It's never been duplicated. They may celebrate Hank and I, but I can promise you, none of this would have not happened if it wasn't for the best coach in the world, Paul Westhead, and the extraordinary teams that we had each year, but particularly our senior year with Jeff Fryer, Tom Peabody, our whole team. We were like brothers. And to be part of history and then just to be celebrated this way, along with Hank, the legacy of Hank, the legacy of our team and the school, and the legacy of the free throw going in, which drew awareness that Hank gathers. Those shots should have been air balls. But Hank and Guy did not want it to be that way. And I'm just proud to just be associated with Hank, and that it's just an eerie thing to be witnessing. How we'll be forever linked, and I'm very proud of it.
Okay. What was the best piece of on-court advice you've ever received?
The best on-court advice?
Yes, from a player, coach, or whatever.
It was actually Hank. It was from Hank in high school. We were having a very fierce practice, and I mean very fierce, where almost Hank and I it was borderline. We almost squared off at each other, but it was a super physical, and so this altercation happened about 15 minutes before the end of practice. It was a very physical practice, all practice. But Hank and I I tried to dunk on him. He almost broke my arm. He got it clean. I tried to throw him through the rim, and the only thing that happened, I got a hyperextended shoulder for my effort. He got it clean. But we almost got in the fight. And so 15 minutes later, he thought we had the game because all of our team, we played, in like 2 or 3 leagues, after school.
Yeah. And
I just thought, he said, well, don't forget, because we always met at Father Dave Hagan's house, and then we go to wherever the games were. And I just couldn't believe he had the audacity to say, hey, don't forget, we're meeting at Father Dave at 6. The game is at 6:30. And I'm thinking to myself, go to hell, man. You ain't going to see me at Dave's house. Yeah. F you, F me. I mean, I'm just so mad. I was just so upset about it. And the one thing I learned from Hank, it was that he left everything on the court. It's not personal. You're trying to dunk on him. You try to dunk on me or try to break your arm the next time. I mean, if you break it, great. If you hyperextend it, great. Thank you. He didn't care about that. He would just, that's just, there's no love lost on the court. I'm your enemy on the court. We'll be friends later. But the fact that he left it all on the court, he taught me that because he just was after that type of practice and that type of altercation. And even though I didn't think I'll be there, guess where I was at 6 o'clock?
Father Dave.
I was at Father Dave's because, and so that taught me to leave it all on the court. So that's one of the greatest lessons I've ever had.
Okay, one last question.
And everything else was self-taught.
Okay, one last question. What's your life motto that's been formulated probably through, living and everything? What is your life motto?
I'm unstoppable. I was unstoppable on the court, and I'm going to be unstoppable in life. If there's anything that I want to achieve, I've always visualized it first and go get it, and I don't stop until I get it. And that's the one thing that's been my characteristics on the court. I don't worry if I miss the first 7 shots. Wait till you see the next 7. Yep. And that transferred over into business. I've had deals go. I made millions in real estate. I lost millions in real estate. I've had all kind of ups and downs, but it's just like the game of basketball. I look at life as a game of basketball. No matter how great you are, you never make every shot. It's the same as in life. You'll never, with all the preparation, you'll never be perfect, but you need to learn how to make more shots than you miss and make more good decisions in life than bad. And that's the game of life. And that's what I live by.
All right.
And I always know that I'll succeed because I'll never quit.